Welcome to Slow Home Studio. Too many people live in badly designed houses, and we want to change that.
Today is Thursday, June 23rd, and we're carrying on our discussion that we started earlier in the week. And today we're specifically looking at lighting options for dining spaces.
That's right. So we've got a few slides to look at, so let's get right to it. Here are the basics. There's really three types of lighting fixtures that you can use for a dining room: ceiling mounted, floor mounted, table mounted, and that would also include candles.
Absolutely.
My personal favorite.
Your personal favorite. So here's a general design guideline for a ceiling-mounted fixture. For a single ceiling-mounted fixture, you want to be about 30 inches above
That's
the
a
table.
minimum, right?
That's a minimum, yeah. You can definitely go up higher, and you have to really look at the condition of the individual space. But at a minimum, you want 30 inches. And you want to make sure that you don't have the light too low that it obstructs your view of people sitting around the table. That's really the most critical thing.
And just so that everybody understands the geometry, as you raise that fixture higher, the light is going to expand more, and it's going to become less intense, more diffuse. And so there is a balance between those two.
That is a really good point. And you also have to see what type of fixture, if it lights the room or just the table. Now, here's the example that we had from Monday Pull Tab Architects with the bocce fixture, and you can see that line there where the fixture is about 30 inches above the table. So the light goes up to the ceiling, but it has that clear line, so people sitting at the table don't get obstructed from the light itself.
So in a multi-bulb situation like this, you want to make sure that the lowest that one of them goes is about 30 inches.
Exactly. Here's another example.
This is actually one of ours.
It is, and the light fixture is a Moy fixture, and it's higher, and the reason for it being higher is they have a beautiful view to their backyard through those windows, and if the light fixture was low, that would obstruct your view from a standing position. And
this is also a secondary eating. It's a kind of breakfast area. There's another area for dining, and so this actually is something that a little bit more casual, doesn't have to have that same kind of mood light.
Yep, that's a good point. And this is by Jabal Pushaberg, and here they've got a couple things going to define the dining space. They have that fixture in the ceiling, which is a bulb fixture. They also have a table lamp behind, and that's going to provide a bit of ambient light in the evening behind the table, which is a nice thing to do as well.
That's right, because particularly in the evening, you don't have to have a lot of light. You're not playing tennis. It's nice to
You're
have.
not doing surgery.
No, that's right. Pools of light that in different areas that focus your attention and create a kind of space or mood.
Yeah, this is a project that we looked at
like this
from Super Cool. And this, we said this is a great dining space because there isn't a real sort of obvious place for the table, but the designers have put this millwork wall here to give a back to the dining table, but then they have this long suspension fixture which hangs down more than a story from the catwalk above, and it provides the sort of centering for the table.
And there's a couple of other architectural features. We've got this catwalk, if you remember from that. It actually is where the table is centered underneath, and that creates that space there, which is defined by that vertical edge, and then there's another space there, which is defined by that edge through to the front entry. Very, very nice project.
So now floor lighting.
Yeah.
And this is where if you're in a loft space and you don't have any ability to change electrical, you may want to consider doing a floor lamp. And this is a long swing fixture, and there's a couple modern sort of classic examples of those fixtures with the big heavy base, and they work really well to define a dining space without having to rearrange any electrical.
Particularly in a loft space, particularly in an area where you don't have access to the ceiling. Concrete buildings, apartments, rentals, that kind of thing. This is a great option.
Yeah, and then finally table lighting. This is...
Don't normally think about this, but it's actually, as you mentioned it to me, it's a good idea.
It is a good idea, and it's something that you see in restaurants all the time. A lot of times in restaurants, they'll have a small light on the table, and it really creates that sort of intimate mood. In this example, the table's pushed up against the drywall edge, so in a small apartment or loft, again, if you don't have the ability to do a big ceiling fixture, that would be a nice way to create a bit of intimacy for a table. And then this is an example where the architects have designed some ceiling panels to define the area for the dining space. And this is Build LLC in New York, and they've created a perforated panel system that floats, providing uplighting as well as the connection point for some downlighting for the table.
And I think this is good for our design project that we've been looking at. There's some ideas about extending, doing some manipulation in the ceiling plane to be able to create that kind of sense of dining room.
Yeah, so it's a perforated panel and lights up and down, and they've actually folded it down into the entry, which is very nice. And then this is our final example. This is a cove ceiling. We talked about cove ceilings the other day, and this one is creating a centering for the table, and then they've placed in the center of that as well a fixture for the dining table.
Yeah, very nice project. So that's our take on lighting options for dining room spaces. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at our design solutions for the weekly design project.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
If you're interested in learning more about the principles of slow home design, you can pick up a copy of our book entitled What's Wrong with This House? It's a practical guide to finding a well-designed and sustainable home. It's available for sale on the Slow Home Studio website. It's also available for sale at Amazon.com in both paperback and the Kindle format.